Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back with another segment of It's Getting Real. Go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button as we begin. On the early hours of March 1st, 2008, two men broke into a home in Alba, Texas. They set out on a horrific killing spree that left two young boys and their mother dead. The only survivors are 16-year-old Erin and her father Terry, who was shot multiple times before being left in the home by the two intruders who set the house on fire. Who knew that an encounter at Sonic would lead to this? Terry Caffey and his wife Penny lived to serve in their church. They had three children, two of whom were boys by the name of Tyler and Matthew, and a girl by the name of Erin. They were talented. Penny, the mom, played the piano. Tyler and Matthew played the guitar and the harmonica, and Erin sang to the point where members of the congregation said that she would sing so much and be touched so much by what she was singing that she would become emotional in song. Terry, their father, was training to be a minister. The kids were being homeschooled by their mother. All seemed to be going well for the family. That is until 2008. Erin started, with the permission of her parents, to work a part-time job at Sonic, a fast food place. It's a cute place. You see kids coming by on roller skates with trays, coming to your car like that drive school, feel where they come up and you place your order and they serve you with the tray and you can eat out in your car while maybe enjoying a nice view. But that is where she met and quickly fell in love with Charlie Wilkinson. Now, Charlie Wilkinson is 18 years old at the time. He comes from a broken home. He struggled at times, but Teresa Myers, the mother to one of his friends, said that he did not have an evil bone in his body. Now, after hearing the events of what happened, will feel, and maybe you will too, like he did. The relationship got serious pretty quickly. In December of that year, Erin asked her parents if she can return to public school, and they agreed. She and Charlie at that point become even more serious and inseparable. Charlie gives her a promise ring that had belonged to his grandmother, and both of them say at the time that they had a desire to get married. No, what teenage couple that has fallen in love doesn't feel that way? Terry and Penny were fine with the relationship at first, and that is until Erin's grades started to slip and she started messing up in school. Her parents were like, okay, something is going on that our child, who normally does well, is messing up in school. So let's check into things. And one of the things that they decided to check in was her internet usage. So they locate Charlie's page, which at the time was on MySpace, and on the page, they see a bunch of sexual references and references to drinking alcohol and things of that nature, which is not something that her parents are happy about. So Erin is put on phone curfew. She ends up breaking that curfew. And in February 2008, they tell her that she needs to break up with Charlie. Terry, her father, said, "We pulled Erin aside and told her that we didn't raise her this way and that he was not good for her." Now, they say he wasn't good for her, but I don't think that she was good for him either. And I think that because he's older and because he's the guy and because he later on is the person who helped commit this crime, that it's easier for the father to be placing blame onto him. But you all tell me your thoughts down below as I continue the story. So Erin's parents believe that she accepted the fact that they didn't want her to talk to him anymore. Where Charlie finds this out, and unlike Erin, he's not hiding the fact that his heart is broken from anyone. He's openly heartbroken, and he's also angry. See, one of the things that was mentioned was that Charlie was told things by Erin, like her parents used to abuse her and things of that nature. So him not being able to be a part of her life upset him for that reason, and also because he wanted to protect her. But she kept her cool, at least around her parents. So Erin starts talking about killing her parents in front of friends. She tells them that she wants her parents dead. She felt like that was the only way that she could be with Charlie. I will never understand how people feel like the only way you can obtain something is by killing other people. There's other ways around things. Maybe if you would have showed your parents that you could be responsible, and maybe if you started taking school more seriously, maybe they would have allowed you to see him if they monitored it. There are things that could have been done other than this drastic thing. So accounts differ into who was the mastermind of this plan. I personally feel like it was Erin. At the time of her interview with Paris Morgan, which I'm going to leave the link for, it's on various places. I think the first time I saw it was several years ago on Netflix, but I know that it's also on YouTube, so the link will be in the description box. But it has been 8 years since her incarceration, and this girl is still making excuses for what she's done, as well as never directly answering a question. And she appears to me to be devoid of feeling. So I can see her taking more of a part in this than she's saying. But Terry Caffey, her father, doesn't feel like it was his daughter's idea. Charlie claims that he wanted him and Erin to simply run away together in testimony later on, but she's the one who insisted on the murder. So on the day of the attack, Charlie, who is 18, and Charles Wade, his friend, who is 20, pulls up into the driveway of the Caffey's home. Erin runs out to the car because she knows that they're coming in her pajamas. Before he goes inside, Charlie says to Erin that they may have to kill her younger brothers because they can't afford to have any witnesses. And her response is, "I don't care. Just do what you gotta do." Watching her with Paris, I believe that she said that. There's no emotion in talking about what happened to her family. Her father can be in denial all that he wants to, but I see this young lady for who she is, and what I see is trouble. But we'll get more into that later. So early on March 1st, Charlie and Charles storm into the home. Erin and Bobby Johnson, who is Charles' girlfriend, are waiting in the car. Terry recalls that it was probably about 2 a.m. when a noise woke him up. Once inside the home, Charles starts firing shots all over the room with a pistol. It's in Terry and Penny's bedroom. They get shot. Terry was shot 5 times. He even recalls being shot 3 of those times in the back and 1 of those times in the back of his leg. We know he also got shot in his arm. He got shot a lot. When questioned about the event, because of how many shots were fired and because of the way that his body felt, he said that he thought that he got shot 11 times. And that there was possibly one of those bullets that landed in his face because he could not talk. He said that he laid there after his wife got shot and witnessed the further attack. In the midst of firing the gun, it jams. So Charles, the friend of Charlie, takes out a samurai sword and he begins to attack Penny with it, nearly decapitating her head. They could have stopped there. They had done enough. At that point, they thought that they had killed both of the parents. So why continue? Especially if the allegations of abuse that you think that she was suffering and that's why you did it are true. This could have been the point where you were like, okay, you know what? We accomplished our goal. The parents are gone. Let's leave. But that's not what they did. They go upstairs and find Tyler and Matthew. At this point, Terry is downstairs hoping that his boys are asleep, but Tyler and Matthew unfortunately were not asleep. They were hiding. Terry hears his son Matthew cry out, "No, Charlie, no. Why are you doing this?" As he's hearing this, he's trying to get up, but due to the shots, due to his injury, he cannot move. The thought of that breaks my heart. I cannot imagine the fear that was in this 8-year-old and this 13-year-old little boy's heart as they were going through this, especially because they probably heard the shots, they probably heard the screams from their parents, and they knew that the same fate was awaiting them. So Terry, in the midst of all of this, is drifting in and out of consciousness as Tyler, his son, is shot in the face. Matthew is then brutally killed with the sword, with both Charlie and Charles at some point taking turns to use the sword. So earlier, when that lady said that Charlie didn't have an evil bone in his body, this makes me feel like I don't agree with that. I beg to differ. They then ransacked the house looking for valuables because Charlie had allegedly promised Charles that he would give him $2,000 for his help with this. A life is worth $2,000. Insane. They poured lighter fluid on the furniture in different parts of the house and decide to set the place on fire. So the house is now burning. Terry wakes up knowing that his wife is gone, knowing that his sons are probably gone, and does the only thing that he can do at that point, which is escape through the window. He then makes an hour-long crawl. They estimate that it may be longer than that, crawling 300 yards because he couldn't walk, through the woods to his neighbor Tommy Gatson's house to call for help. So 911 is called, and when they ask, where is he bleeding from? His reply is, where isn't he bleeding from? Which goes to show you how much damage has been done. So Terry Caffey was taken to East Texas Medical Center in Tyler and admitted to the critical care unit. Terry is rushed to emergency surgery. After the emergency surgery, Terry is stable enough to talk. He tells the sheriff's deputies that he was he was aware of one of the attackers, and he felt like one of the attackers was Charlie because he recognized his voice and he heard his name. Authorities immediately track down Charlie and bring him in for questioning. They then discover that Aaron was in the trailer at some point where he was living, and she appears to be in a state of shock. She tells the police that she was kidnapped. Everyone knew everyone in this small part called Emory. So Charles and Bobby are then later picked up almost immediately. We're talking in less than 24 hours, they had these suspects in custody. Erin's story started to fall apart while she's en route to see her father. It didn't take long for Erin's kidnapping story to be dismantled because Charles and Charlie both told the police the same story, that the murders were all her idea. So she's en route to the hospital with her grandparents and sheriff deputies. Deputies end up receiving a call while they're taking her to see her father saying Erin is a suspect. So they do what you would do with the suspect, and they cuff her. Erin starts crying, telling her grandparents that she didn't have anything to do with this, but we know better than that. So it's less than 24 hours after the authorities have responded to the murder. All 4 suspects are now in custody, and they're all talking. They all get charged with 3 counts of capital murder. Prosecutors initially sought out the death penalty against Charlie and Charles, but Terry, being the Christian man that he is, didn't want that. Terry stepped in, still believing in forgiveness that his faith taught him. He said that before he could go on with his life, he had to forgive those who took the lives of his family. He intervened on behalf of Charles and Charlie, who were facing the death penalty at the time, and asked that it be taken off the table. He said, I wanted them to have a chance to find remorse and hopefully be sorry for what they had done, have a chance for repentance. He asked prosecutors to take it off the table, and it took several months, but they eventually decided that they would. A plea deal was reached. As part of the deal, one of the things that the guys had to do was that they had to meet face to face with Terry and explain their actions. Terry said in talking to the boys, both boys, the only person that he got any sort of remorse from was Charlie, the guy who was dating his daughter. He kept looking down and he cried a little bit, and he said that he could tell that not only was it tough for him, but it was tough for Charlie. His attorney later said that it was the toughest thing that he ever had to do. All four, that means his daughter too, eventually plead guilty. So in October 2008, sentences are handed down. Charles and Charlie are sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Bobby Johnson, who sat out in that car, got 40 years. And Aaron was not sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, but she was sentenced to life with the eligibility of parole in 25 years of her sentence. I personally do not think that she should be eligible for anything, but who am I? You all tell me what you think. Terry said that after everything that happened, that because of how distraught he was and because of how hurt he was and because of how much he missed his boys and his wife, that he actually considered suicide. But he maintains a relationship now with his daughter, and he visits her in prison in Greenfield. Aaron did not have the balls, we'll say, at first, to admit to having anything to do with what happened. In her interview with Mr. Morgan, she told him that it wasn't until the third visit in jail that she told her father what happened. And it was because he told her that he loved her no matter what, even if she was the one who pulled the trigger herself. In my opinion, she did. Aaron said her father said he'll be there no matter what. I guess I personally have to work on my Christian journey because I have not reached that level of forgiveness in my walk, in my belief system. I personally think that her father is still in denial about how much his daughter had to do with this murder. And I think that that's extremely dangerous too. Because there is no way that I would be visiting a child that is responsible for the murder of my wife and sons. Her boyfriend is admittedly crying in the interrogation, confessing everything that he did to these three people. And she's sitting there acting like it means nothing. It's kind of cold when you really look at it. There's a portion in the interview where Mr. Morgan is basically saying to her that she doesn't look like she, has remorse. Are you remorseful in this situation? And the look on her face speaks volumes. The girl, to me, is preparing herself for parole. Her entire demeanor changed during that question. When she's asked to take responsibility for her actions, her expression was like she was baffled with a little bit of anger. Here's the key. If I'm asked how I'm feeling, then I'm going to give you a feeling. But what I noticed about her is she doesn't give you a feeling. Instead, she tells you what she thinks. I don't think that she's really capable of feeling. I think that she just knows that certain words are supposed to invoke certain emotions, and she tries to tap into it, but I don't really see it. As of now, in the quick research that I did, I saw that her father has been remarried not once, but twice. His next marriage, though, is more successful. He has bonus kids as well as he's had another child with his now wife. I don't know, me personally, if I was to marry him, how I would feel about him being so heavily involved with his daughter. I'm not saying that you can't talk to her, but him going out of his way to visit her and see her, in my opinion, is a bit much to me. If you look at the thumbnail, you'll see that the pictures that are of him and her both are of him visiting her at the prison. So I kind of struggle with their interaction, because I don't think that she's really told him the truth. But maybe it's easier for him to deal with it. I wouldn't want her to know where I live. I wouldn't want her to know where I stay, because all it takes is one more instance for her to get upset and something could happen. You were told not to see this boy anymore. And as a result, a guy that you have been dating for 5 months has now taken precedence and has made you willing to kill your parents. I don't think it had anything to do with the guy. I think that it had everything to do with her, because she made the decision. She made the choice. She spoke to various friends. She created this storm. And to know now that that man lost his family, lost some of the memories, because a lot of things were lost in that fire, and now has forever this space that's empty, makes me wonder if justice was really served. But you all tell me your thoughts and opinions down below. Thanks for joining me. Until next time.